What's good, YouTubes? I've got another special Halloween episode tonight. I've got James and JP. They're into the gear hobby like us, but they've been doing these paranormal investigations since 2012. So I might get a little spooky on this one, you know? You never know. But, what have you guys been carrying this week? That way we keep the people entertained for a little bit before we get to the good shit. So what have you guys been carrying lately?
James, you can start it off.
All right, I got you. The Benchmade Fact, but the special
Nice.
edition, the 417 gray. So you got the
Nice.
silver twill carbon fiber.
Sick.
And then, of course, the Steingraber Sasquatch, my little fixed blade that I feature in my Instagram all the time.
I like
Looks
that.
really sweet.
I like that. I'm getting into fixed blades a little bit, like the smaller ones, though, you know?
Yeah, that seems to be a trend that's coming up.
Mm-hmm. Cheers, by the way, to everybody.
Cheers.
So for me, I've gotten like just a gauntlet of new knives for me. They're not new as in they just came out, but somebody sent me a 560, ZT 560
Nice.
in LMAX. Never got to try this one out. Crazy. I've got the Wee Knife Gava right here, which is pretty sick too. Titanium frame lock flipper. ZT 0770. This all came in like in the past 3 days, so I'm like going crazy. Booze Blades Mini Smoke.
Love that knife.
Yeah, dude. This one is a weird one. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. This is from BRS Evolve. Blade Runner
Okay.
Systems. They make Bali songs and fidget spinners and things like that. But this is from their Evolve line, and
Short guy. Whoa,
it's called the Overwatch.
that's cool.
Pretty dope. Look at this little thing right here. That's what I love about it the most. This little upswept thing. You don't even need jimping up there. But yeah, that's probably my favorite one that I have. And the same guy that sent the other ZT sent this one, which is the what is this? The 350.
350? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm in knife heaven right now, basically. I'm just fucking so happy right now. But yeah, man, let's get to the paranormal investigation stuff. Like, what got you guys interested in that? James, I heard a little bit about what got you into it. So JP, how about we start with you tonight?
Yeah, so I think I have it's the most popular answer. Everyone gets in usually through media, and my gateway in was Ghostbusters.
Oh, sick.
84. And
Yeah.
I think, James, you probably have a similar story with that.
Yeah.
But, Ghostbusters pretty much, got me interested when I was really young, and it stuck with me for quite a while.
Yeah. And James, you want to add on to that a little bit about your story? I know you talked about it briefly in the other pod.
Yeah, it kind of spawns. It spawns from the horror movies that we were talking about last time. It was just I was so interested in finding these things, and I always thought it was just a scary story until you saw some of the realistic shows on television, Unsolved Mysteries, in the 80s or in the early 90s, and I just found it interesting. Like, oh, this could actually be real. Damn, let's check this out. So and then just living in a haunted house for most of my life, it's not like daily activity or even yearly activity, but there's definitely something that I've heard laughing here. There's constant footsteps, specifically around 1 to 2 a.m. If you're not paying attention, then you're just trying to go like downstairs to get something to drink, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, who's coming down the stairs after me? So I look, and there's just absolutely no one, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah,
you also get that feeling in his house too, like someone's right behind you, just staring a hole in the back of your head.
I have those feelings as well, right? But sometimes I wonder. I mean, and I'm a very superstitious person. You know what I mean? I'm not like very religious, but I'm very spiritual. I believe in like higher beings and stuff like that, right? I came from the Philippines, from a region known as Bicol. I was born in Naga City, and like I've grown up just like knowing that spirits are real. That's what everyone believes. Like, you don't sweep the roads at night because you're inviting ghosts into your house. Like, that's the kind of superstition that we have. Dude, our mythological creatures are fucking wild. There's this creature called the Manananggal, and basically at night they separate their torso from their lower half of their body, so they leave their legs somewhere, and then the torso breaks apart with intestines hanging out. They grow bat wings, and then they go after like pregnant women with like long tongues, and they take like the fetuses out of their vaginas, bro. Like, that's the kind of tales I was hearing when I was, growing up in the Philippines. And oh, you kill them with salt, by the way, which is really funny. You pour salt on the lower half, and then they can't, form back into a human because they're a human by day. And then the sunlight comes out and kills them. So like these are the kind of crazy things I was hearing. And I was telling James, there is a holiday in the Philippines called All Souls Day, and you sleep in the cemetery with where your dead relatives are buried. That's something that I've done many times. So like when it comes to, I never thought of it as like a scary thing, you know what I mean? But the more I got into horror, I was like, oh shit, motherfuckers would be scared to do this, like. And getting back to what I was thinking before, like, do you think that we just consume so much like horror and spooky content that we get that vibe that we're being watched? Because actually that feeling that someone is watching me, that's the feeling that I'm chasing when I watch a good horror flick, because like I told James before, I really like the more what do you call it, like hauntings, ghosts, paranormal stuff is my bread and butter. I love that, and that's what scares me the most, So what do you think? Do you guys think that we just consume so much of it that we're getting influenced, or is there actually some other being?
Yeah, I think you have to start with having some touch points, or else you're not going to relate to the movie or the horror scare at all. So there has to be something in there. You have to have some buy-in. And I think we all have experiences where, something didn't seem right or something happened, you can't explain it. And that kind of all comes into play when you watch horror movies or you're out investigating. You always have to check to make sure. I'll be standing next to James. I'm like, hey, you heard that, right? Or this is happening, right?
Damn. Have you guys come into contact with any stuff that kind of still stays with you to this day? Like, anything like that you want to share? Any crazy story while you guys were out there?
The creepiest one that I had that's always stuck with me is in Waverly Hills. The first time we ever went there with, there's a whole bunch of people there, and it was just more of like a tourist thing rather than an actual investigation. But towards the end of the night, like right at 6 a.m. So, I mean, he did this whole thing from like 9 p.m. up to 6 a.m. And we're walking back to the place to leave, and you have to like go through a certain path to get there. And my wife was behind me, and then I hear just out of the corner of my, right here, where's JP? Except it sounded like me saying it. So then my wife asked me, said, what did I say? And I'm like, no, I didn't say anything. So we played the recorders back, and it's me saying, where's JP? Clearly on the recorder, somewhere between my wife and me.
Yeah.
Like within a foot apart. And of course, he's nowhere near us. He's already ready to go. Right. He left a little earlier, but that was creepy.
And it's always hard to convey that feeling to someone who wasn't there, right? Like to me, when you told that story right now, like I got the goosebumps because I know what that vibe is like. But a person who's never experienced any paranormal thing in their life might be like, oh, come on, you guys were just tired. You've been there since 9, Yeah. But I definitely believe that there's like presence when you go to certain places. How about you, JP? You ever have anything like that happen that you want to share?
Yeah, actually we've gone to Waverly a few times now, James. I lost count at this point. But it was early on in the night. It was probably like 10 or 11 at night, and we've been there about 2 or 3 times. And I'm running around. I had an A7S, I think just the Mach 1 at the time, and a Zoom recorder. And I'm walking, and I hear my own footsteps echoing because it's like an old hospital. I don't know if James told you about it, but it's like a 5-story old hospital. There's tons of hospital, like operating
Hospitals
rooms,
are creepy enough
rooms.
as it is, dude.
Yeah. And I stop walking, and I still hear my footsteps echoing.
Oh shit!
And I'm
dude,
like, there's me and one other person next to me, and we're both stopped. And you hear the pace start picking up.
Oh fuck!
So we chased down the footsteps down to a corridor, and it actually led to a elevator shaft where, of course, bad things happen. There's multiple reportings of people falling down the elevator shaft or the elevator breaking. So that's probably the best scary thing that's happened, while we're there in the moment. But a lot of the scary stuff will pick up on EVPs. So you're sitting at home having a drink, and all of a sudden you hear something. You're like, "Nah, that didn't really just happen. Let's rewind and listen to it." But like you said, man, that vibe you get when you're out there, it's hard to replicate. So
Yeah,
unless you experience it.
yeah. I mean, for real. Like when I experienced a lot of this type of stuff, I was younger and I was in the Philippines. I didn't get a lot of that here because I think I lived in New York City most of my life, and like the shit you're scared of here is like the real motherfuckers, like the real people.
Yeah.
But when I was in the Philippines, I remembered like very vaguely, since I was young, I was something like 4 or 5 years old, like I'd want to use the bathroom or something like that, and I'll think I see someone like holding a candle like in the kitchen, but there's like a wall there, so you can only see the light, but like I know no one's there.
Yeah.
Things like that. Because the place that we built our house on top of, here's like a little bit of a history with my family. So my dad was a banker, right? He was very poor, didn't have a lot of money. He didn't even have money for electricity. He was using a kerosene lamp to study, and basically studied his way out of poverty and became this rich guy. So we were like a
That's
rich
awesome.
family. And it wasn't until, they overthrew the Marcos government, I don't know, the dictatorship, and then they brought in democracy. So they basically looked over everyone's like, financials and stuff, and like my dad was helping people out and all that, so they took all our money. That's how we became here. I don't think I've ever shared that on the podcast, but anyway, so we were rich, bro. So my dad built like a pretty big spot in Naga City, and the rumor was like there was a lot of people like buried like in that land or something. Not that we killed them, it was like before.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of wars that happened in the Philippines, takeovers by Spain, Japanese, and all that. So that's the rumor. I don't really remember a lot of it, but I definitely got a lot of those vibes in that house. That's early 80s. What do you guys use? Is there equipment that you bring, like any gear, right, that you got to have every single time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the biggest thing, well, first of all, we've carried everything that you see in the television shows, like literally everything. You got these spirit boxes, cameras, voice recorders, the REM pods, like all of it. We've experimented with everything just to see what works for us. But
Yeah.
What works for you every time, if you want to get started in this, is audio.
Yes.
You got to buy a good quality audio recorder. You got to buy something that doesn't record in MP3. You got to do it in WAVE. We record in 96 kilohertz, 24-bit. So about the best you can portably record without going professional. And it's the results are outstanding because it really filters out like the coughs that sound like "get out" or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are almost always fake if you listen to it clearly.
Yeah. Dude, you know what movie I thought would have been so good? I thought it was going to be so good. It was a movie called White Noise with Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
And I remember the commercial, right? They had like a compilation of like voices that they recorded. And there was this one part, and the guy was like, get out of my house. And I was like, I have to watch this movie. And like, I did not like the movie. I just, dude, and I like ate like a weed cake. And I went to the movie theater. I was with like a hot date. I must have been, I must have been in my like mid-20s, 23, 24 maybe. And I didn't get into it, bro. I should be scared shitless, but I couldn't. Like the movie like slowly just kept going down. There was another White Noise with Nathan Fillion right? Am I correct on this?
Yeah, the second one.
That one was better because I love Nathan Fillion. I mean, who doesn't? I think that's probably why I liked it more. But I remember that trailer when I first saw it, and he's just like, get out. And I was like, oh man, like you get the goosebumps and stuff. What horror movie has scared you guys the most? Like what's like the one that really freaked you out that you could probably compare that feeling to like maybe some of the things you experienced in real life?
So for me, it stuck with me the longest because I was probably maybe 5 or 6 when I saw it. But the Trilogy of Terror. I don't know if you guys talked
with the
about
small
that.
doll thing.
Yes,
we
that
didn't
story.
talk about that, but I did watch that.
Oh, yeah, that thing follows me around. I
Oh,
still have nightmares to this
snap.
day, just seeing little shadows and little creepy laughter. It's yeah,
Oh shit.
that tops. I haven't been scared that bad since I
Oh
was 6.
man.
So
Oh shit. How about you, James? You said Gremlins the last time we were on here.
yeah.
Yeah,
What a
small
movie.
creatures.
Yeah.
Thinking about it now, at a sleepover, I did watch Creep Show 2,
I love
and
Creepshow. Yo.
and the one where the woman in the Mercedes hits that hitchhiker guy, and he keeps
Yes.
following her the whole time.
Oh shit.
That kind of
Yeah.
stuck with me for a while too.
I
Like he's just
watched
like, "Oh,
that
thanks for
too.
the ride, lady."
Yes. Thanks for the ride, lady. And
Dude.
the blob in the lake with the kids. Is that Creepshow?
Yeah, that was
It is,
Robin.
right?
What
Yeah.
was his name?
That
That was Robin from Batman and Robin.
yo.
Oh,
Chris O'Donnell?
oh,
Yeah, it was Chris O'Donnell. He was the last one to
shit.
survive.
He was like making out with a girl and she just gets like slime.
Yeah.
Dude, they don't make them like that anymore, man. You know, and like the way
No,
they
man.
told that story, the little kid was getting bullied, and then he got the Venus flytraps, and then they ate them. I was like, that is
Yeah.
such a big part of my childhood, man. Because what they would do around Halloween time is in New York City, they had a channel, Channel 11. This was before it became CW, before it was the WB with the frog. It was just called WPIX. And they would show like Godzilla marathons and Twilight Zone marathons for like the whole week, yo.
Yeah.
And then
You just don't see a shit like that anymore.
yeah, and you know, now it's like all very like scheduled television. It was like when it's Halloween, they're like, man, what the fuck are we gonna put on? You know, it's scary. They do put like Star Trek marathons, you know, like every year and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And that's how I got into all this stuff, man. You know, I've said this to James before. I think I saw Jaws too early, and I've said this so many times in the podcast. My fans are like, "Oh my god, here we go with the fucking Jaws." He gets scared when he swims in the pool, but that's really what freaks me out the most. Aside from paranormal stuff, you know, things like the English version, the American version of The Ring, actually gave me more fright than the Japanese version. Tell me about the movies that you guys have seen recently. Like anything that you want to like highlight here that you've seen that was new or that you've revisited again this month?
Go for it, JP. I had to think for a minute.
yeah, I have to think for a minute too. We've been working so hard lately.
Like with the PI stuff, or
yeah, we've been going back and forth about the paranormal and trying to plan out what we're doing next. It's kind of a different landscape now than it was like a year ago.
Yeah.
So trying to figure that out and how we can grow and explore and you know, not become stagnant is a big concern. But like being able to talk to people about it and talk about their experiences and even open up about, you know, what we think that we should educate people on or talk about, because our viewpoints, not to say like our viewpoints are completely different than other people's, but it's like when you watch these TV shows and you hear like the same things over and over again. It's just like that formulaic, let's sell some, you know, commercial time and get some good trailers cut so that people watch our show. We definitely, I mean, we'll watch that stuff, and that got us also interested too, but we're just trying to see, you know, we want to put something out there eventually, and we want to be genuine to ourselves. So that's a lot of what we've been working on.
I'm sorry. Is there a big presence on social media, like a paranormal investigation? You know how like you know how like the EDC community is very niche, but it's so vast, right? Like is there like some huge like PI YouTuber like kind of just like killing it right now? No.
I would say no.
Here's the thing that I want to talk about with that is like I feel that there's this big kind of even in the gear hobby, man, you know, there is this big kind of like that is like a don't do. That's a no, is like try too hard, right? You know, promoting yourself and all that. But with creating a brand, I mean, as gross as that sounds, right? That's gonna bring you the influence that you need to create a product that you love. You know what I mean? I take my inspirations with my own YouTube journey from all the comedians. Joe Rogan being at the epicenter. He was podcasting when no one wanted to do it. Even though he was famous at that time, maybe he'd have 100 people watching, 200 people watching an episode, and now he has 90 million downloads per episode or more. Like he outshines every single media outlet there is, right? But he started at a place where like comedians were making fun of him for doing it. Like, what the fuck is this social media shit? And the same thing with knife people right now. They're like, oh, why the fuck are you on TikTok? I'm like, yeah, because there's younger people that they're gonna get into this hobby that are watching my stuff. And even though they're not fucking around with the YouTube yet, they will later. He's like, oh, why do you spend time on editing? Why do you, show your face on camera? Why are you trying to be funny? I'm like, I'm trying to be the whole package. I'm trying, hard. I admit that, and I think even in the gear hobby, like people are scared to try hard. But with PI, right, you're saying there's no one that's killing it on any of these platforms, meaning that there is an opening there for somebody to be ridiculed at first. And in 5-10 years later down the line, you guys are just these media monsters that are leading the pack to independent paranormal investigators. I mean, some can say like, oh, that's selling out. But if you do it the right way, like Rogan did, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't have a script. He talks to anybody. He has right-wing people on. He has left-wing people on. He has, kind of conservative libertarians, like whoever, doctors, athletes. You could do the same thing because with platforms like YouTube and Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all that stuff, right? You put them all together. You're making the content. NBC's not telling you what to do. The money comes later, so you're going to be hurting at first, which you guys are already doing right now, right? Like there's no financial gain, but you guys have a passion.
It's all self-financed.
Right.
So it's a hobby at this point.
Do you guys ever document with video any of the things that you do?
Not so far as to show like what we're actually doing. No.
Yeah.
Just we document all the investigations.
And the reason why I ask that is YouTube has a very big space for those guys that explore like weird areas. I don't know if you've seen those videos. They'll go to like, they don't necessarily go at night or whatever, but they will explore places that are kind of abandoned and things like that. And that's a huge space. If you just do that with the goal of trying to investigate the way you do, keep your integrity, I think that if you documented that, even if you don't capture anything, the people that are into what you're doing will be into that kind of content. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, you don't have to ghost hunter it. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah.
I used to fuck with those shows too when they first came out. But then I was just like, like they show glimpses of that feeling I'm chasing for and they prolong it. And then the commercial comes on and I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to check it out anymore, because I'm into the material. That's the crazy thing. What do you guys think about that? Would you ever be into that?
We floated the idea before of starting a podcast. Sorry, Jim, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, we're talking about starting a podcast.
Yeah.
And just we even have a structure kind of laid out on what we want to do, and we want to make sure if we start something, we're going to be regular with it and make sure you can tune in at a certain time and download it, and that it's readily available. Luckily, me and James are both blessed. We both have two little ones running around now.
Yeah.
They're 3 years old, so a lot of our time's been going to that. But I mean, we've talked for a while about podcast for ghost investigation, paranormal, and we've even been checking out the landscape for what's out there. And we did notice that it is kind of dry on what's out there. We did find like a lot of great like horror podcasts and people telling narrative stories that are based off of true things. But there's definitely there. We would like to, I mean, it's kind of like fishing, you go out fishing, you never know what you're going to catch. You kind of go there for the experience, and it's also a hobby. So that's something that we addressed and talk about as we're reviewing footage. But the best thing is, we get to hang out and, talk about what we find. And, just like everyone else, probably all the communities you're talking about, we geek out about gear.
Yeah.
So getting gear in our hands, it's always a good time.
Like you get a new thing and you show it a little bit on YouTube. It doesn't have to be. Here's the thing, man. A lot of people think that when you start YouTube, it has to be this super polished thing. And I used to have that belief. You know what I'm saying? Like the first video I ever did was of the Zero Tolerance ZT 0456, right? By Sinkovich. And I dressed up like a ninja. I dressed up like Iron Man. I did all these editing tricks. And of course the video is going to crush. At that time, 3 years ago, the knife community has never seen anything like that. A crazy Asian guy from New York City that loves knives, shooting things with the Iron Man, like toy, the toy Iron Man hand or whatever. Like, of course it's going to crush. But after a while, I started to realize like people are wanting like more real like stuff. They want your personality, like what you think of it. Like, I don't know anything about knives, but if people want like more of a comedic, entertaining video, like they come to my place. You know what I mean? They don't come to me if like they want to buy a knife and they think I'm going to give them the yes or no answer. They definitely, I say, don't come to me for that. But that's what I'm saying. Like, let's say you guys just went on an investigation and something happened, right? You get home, or maybe like you just use a recorder, right? Or you just, whatever, man, you just use your phone or something like that with like some lights, and you just talk about it right then and there to capture like the essence of the feelings that you guys got. I think a lot of people that are into that space would love to hear that. And if you're telling me no one is doing anything like that, that is a very big opening for you guys to do that. You know what I mean? Like you like that moment you're talking about, people chasing, right? You're chasing after the steps. At that, like as soon as that happened and you guys get back to the car or whatever, and you do that already, you already have a fire piece of content right there. The emotions are real, right? So I mean, that when James told me like, oh yeah, man, I used to do, I'm doing this. I was like, bro, we're gonna do a Halloween episode, like, because even people like in the gear community, just want to hear gear people talk that are into other shit. That's what my whole show is about,
Yeah, actually, we forgot about one key piece of our equipment. We have the Swan. Is it still a Swan? We upgraded our security system, right?
Yeah.
It's a security system? What is it?
Well, it's a CCTV system. So what we did was we bought an original one that was just, basic red and white videos, just basic 40p stuff. So now we upgraded just so that we would stay on top of the technology, and now we run Cat 5 to all the cables so that we can go considerably longer, cut the cables at the actual site so we can kind of custom design whatever we need kind of wherever we go, and it's all in high def now.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think what was it, about 2015 we did a live stream, one of our investigations in like the middle of nowhere, trying to hotspot it. I called my parents like, hey, we're gonna go live in like 5 minutes. Tune in and watch us. And it was great. It was great.
Yeah.
So that's something we definitely want to get into.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. I mean, I think I've been holding back because I kind of want to make it perfect, but just from doing these with you and checking this out, that this is very doable. And I think we would bring something very different to the paranormal groups.
Yeah,
I think culture out there.
I think that like, and I've said this so many times, it's not my line, perfection is poison on YouTube, right? Because documenting versus creating a piece of content is just as effective if you're as passionate about it as you two are. You know what I mean? You're like, oh man, we're about to head in right now. We'll talk to you in a little bit. And then you just fucking do something. He's like, not a lot's going on right now, but you got to be patient. You're like explaining to the user or to the viewer who may also be interested in doing this, like what's the right way, the safe way to do it. Things like that. You guys are learning along the way. And like you guys will perfect that craft too. You know what I mean? Maybe your first live stream, second live stream isn't that big, but you do 30 live stream, 50 live stream, 60, 70, 100, more and more people are going to be tuning in each time. It's kind of like that Gun Jam movie, The Haunted Asylum, that I recommended to you, right?
Yeah.
Like they were doing it for so long. That's why I was like, there's no one doing that, because that movie looked like that's what that guy did. He just did YouTube, even though he was a faker, but I mean,
Well, from what I've seen, a lot of the people in the video and the culture on YouTube with these is, there will be 15 videos, and then all of a sudden it'll end, and there won't be any more, or there'll be a year between releases, and it's you got to stay consistent with it. And I think that's a big thing. Either that, or they just get tired of it because they don't find anything, or whatever.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Like with YouTube, when you succeed on YouTube, you're like part of the quote unquote 1%, right? You know, if you want to have a 1% life, you got to do 1% things. And those guys work so hard, right? And that's the thing with YouTube too. It's like, dude, I've been doing this for over 3 years and I've only made money the past 2 months. And I've been pumping out way more content than I ever have. This is my fourth podcast this week. I'm doing another podcast tomorrow, and I did 4 last week.
Oh, well.
So maybe for the next 2 weeks, I'll take a break and just create content for all these knives. But
yeah.
I put in a lot of hours, man, a lot. And I'm answering DMs. I'm posting every day on Instagram, you know, but my following is growing. More and more people are telling me that are not on my YouTube or on my Twitter, or and they just like I'll go to a space where, whether it's Facebook, which I don't hit up a lot, or I'll post something, I'll comment on somebody else's post, and they'll be like, "Oh, dude, I love your show." Like that happens more often now, but it took a long time. You know, same thing with you guys. Keep that in mind. It's like, just think of like a 5-year, 10-year plan of what you can accomplish, and I think you guys can do really well, man. Especially if there's no one else doing it. You guys are definitely into it. Can you talk about like what plans you have? Like you were discussing about what you're gonna do. Do you want to talk about like where you're going, or are you guys still spitballing ideas?
Yeah, no, I mean, the basic stuff is that, you know, our team we were trying to experience what others are encountered, and then we just try to explain it.
Mhm.
We've already done that quite a bit with noises and, you know, the EMF detectors that everybody says. I took a class on electromagnetic fields just to understand why these things pop and they spike all the time. And it's just about recreating these things and just kind of eliminating all the bullshit that a lot of people say is evidence. And that's kind of like what we would be about. JP, you want to?
Yeah, we were talking about it quite often, actually. But when we go out to investigate or we talk about any evidence we find, we're always the first ones to say, like, how is this not paranormal?
Yeah.
And we'll go and we'll nitpick it, and we'll tear it apart. We've even gone back all the way, you know, 4 hours to a site to retest like shadows we saw, where we'd post a video and someone's like, "Oh no, that's someone's body casting a shadow, blocking the light on the window." And we'd go back and we actually have footage of us retesting in the same location what we saw and what we described that we have on footage. But a lot of it is like, you know, we spitball, we talk about tech, the limitations of tech, and how tech evolved, because originally all this was taken on analog. So you have, you know, a physical tape that's recording versus digital. And it gets a little hairy with digital, because digital, there's so many automatic features with autofocus and shutters changing and stuff like that, that it can almost create that paranormal entity or some artifacting. So like there's nights where me and James were standing around or sitting around with our gang of people, and we're like, this is why new technology is bad, and then go back and forth. But audio, I think audio is our key. And we'll go back, like talking about orbs.
Yeah.
Orbs, that's, you know, we make the joke that it's just dust particles. If you ever do photography or video, as you know, you'll get dust particles that fly up and it looks like an orb in night vision. And we'll riff back and forth on that. One thing that we kind of, it's kind of like a push button topic for us, because we kind of fall on different sides of the fence, is the audio when you watch like a show, and they add that, like, you know, that eerie sound in the background. And me, I'm for it. I know it's not the original experience, but it's really hard to explain how you feel in that moment. And that's why I think horror movies, like you said as well, Ray, that with those horror movies, you kind of get that feeling because of the sound. And yeah, and we've gone back and forth almost, you know, this guy will bring up, you know, the Outrider was a far superior ship in Star Wars, and, you know, cause rifts like that. But
yeah.
So, I mean, on every topic, we'll go back and forth. We agree on some, but we'll, you know, take shots at one another on whatever we say.
It's always good to challenge each other, and then just to if you find a piece of evidence, to challenge the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Just like nitpick it, like JP said, just constantly, so that whenever somebody comes to be like, we already thought of that. We thought of this. It couldn't have been this thing. And then when you go through it, and like that 0.1% of weird shit you find, that's kind of like what we're looking to highlight here, even if it's just that door move. But we've kind of gone over like that literally everything else. But the most exciting thing was that this door moved.
Yeah.
And we don't know why.
Yep. I mean, look, if you guys went out 100 times and 99 times you found jack shit, you guys made content out of it, and in that one time you get a very significant event. That's what the essence of it is, right? You're not expecting to, if you could just find an apparition or an entity or a ghost or a demon or whatever it is, as soon as you go outside, we're not on Earth then. Like, Pinhead and his crew already came out the box and we're in hell right now. That's not what happens. But, if you go out 100 times and you find that one significant event where you guys feel like you have something that people that have the same interests as you are going to be very invested in, then you guys already did it, and you just keep going from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think the big thing too is like once we get a community going, it's not about like our experiences alone, because everyone has their own experience.
Yeah.
And
Or people could like recommend like, yo, I went to this spot near my town. It's really crazy. This is what I experienced. And you're going to go through all this wacky stuff that are sometimes cuckoo, but then there's going to be that one dude and you're going to go visit that place. And like, man, I really did get those vibes. You have him on your pod and you guys talk about that. There's a lot of ways to do it. And you guys are so interested in it. Even if you never found anything, this is what you guys love to do, right? So like, why don't you guys just make content out of it? That's why I did this, Oh,
there you go. We make content.
Dude. Do it, bro. If you guys have questions,
you got to start somewhere.
You just ask me, like, what do you do for this? Like, I'll help you out any way I can. You want to promote something, you could come on here. We could talk about it. You find something you think that I'm going to be into, we could do that. But yeah, like, is there any places that you're thinking about going to, like in the future right now? Or like you're kind of keeping that hush? Like
no, yeah, no, we're not trying to hide anything like that, or keep it a secret for excitement. Like with COVID hitting, you really can't go anywhere,
bro.
Like all the places shut down because you're not going to be able to clean a 300,000 square foot abandoned hospital from COVID. So I don't know. Man, I don't know what that's going to look like going forward. We're looking at a couple places. I want to get to New York, Rolling Hills Asylum, if that's still open. That'd be a nice place.
In upstate or something?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say Albany, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, probably upstate. I don't know, New York City, I haven't found a lot of. I haven't been looking, of course, But one of the coolest things, man, that happened in New York City that could have had a great potential for investigation was like when the blackout happened here. And New York City was just in pitch black darkness. There was no electricity for like a while, bro. And I remember I would climb on trees and like scare people that are passing by. This is like so funny. Yeah, but it was, and people didn't get scared. The people didn't get mad. They were like, "Oh shit, that's crazy," Like I was just scaring people. It was just nuts though to have a city just like filled with lights. It's never turned off ever. It was just black, dude. It was just black.
The other creepy thing, I can relate to that being in Chicago during COVID when it was completely shut down. It was strange.
Yeah.
Like 2 p.m. and then there's just nobody in the streets. There's no cars driving by.
That's crazy.
Yeah, just completely empty for, you would drive to work if you're an essential worker and there's no one else on the road.
I remember the first time I got on a New York City subway car. I haven't been outside for like months or something, like 3 months. Like I would just throw out the garbage and we had our groceries delivered to us by like Fresh Direct or something like that. And I got on a train and it's usually like you're standing next to like 10 people like this.
Yeah.
No one, dude. No one. empty train car. It's just crazy. Now the things that frighten me is like, I got a lot of like people on hallucinogens, like fighting the air on the train. Like there's more of that going on than ever before. So it's like I'm experiencing a zombie phenomenon of my own. It's like these, I don't know, they're on some like, they gotta be on some type of new drug or something. Cause like I've seen crackheads like throughout, you know, from 1987 since I lived here till now. And the crackheads now are like, can you just imagine George Romero's like Night of the Living Dead, right? Like those zombies. I got the fucking rage zombies from 28 Days Later now.
No,
That's what I
days
got.
later, yeah.
And it's just like, they'll go up to you too when they're asking for money. Like normally they just go like this. They go, because you know they know I'm listening to like music or watching a movie, so they go up to you like. And I'm like, yo, chill, bro. I only have card, yo. They pull out a card machine. They're like, no, I'm kidding.
No, here's a square.
Imagine. It's like, I take Cash App, Venmo. No. But yeah, man. How has that affected you, by the way, JP? Like the COVID stuff. Has it changed your life in any way, man? Are you an essential worker? Like, what's going on there?
Yeah, so I'm an essential worker. So me and James, we were sent home, and we worked from home, and our job kind of changed a little bit for a few months. And we still were like on call for the projects we were on. But, you know, now that we went back, I mean, it's pretty much, you know, business as usual, but, you know, we're staying safe, keeping our distance, wearing masks, washing everything.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, you know, everyone says it's like the new normal, you know, and it's going to happen for a while. So I know we're not even a year in, and, you know, we're just going to have to do this as long as, you know, we have to. For me, like I'm thinking of like my kids, it's like, okay, well, we got to go through this. And we got to make sure, you know, everything's set for, you know, the future. And it's not just like my future, it's like my kids' future too.
Yeah. I think we're all just going to have like these crazy ventilator type masks, like in the movies, and you only take it off when you get inside. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like I was telling my girl that
it'd be like next year.
Yeah. I was telling my girl, like, yeah, I think that's just what's gonna have to happen. We're gonna get better like masks that, like, you know, you can breathe like completely fine, and then you just take it off when you get inside. She's like, don't say that. I'm like, you know, I gotta be prepared for the worst, bro. Like, if there was a zombie outbreak or whatever, like I would be like, okay, like, you know, crazier shit has happened.
My whole life for this.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, you know what I mean? We got plenty of knives and shit. But you know, what do you guys think of like UFOs? Are you guys into that? Because the Pentagon apparently has admitted that, like, you know, we have crafts that were not part of this earth or whatever. So you guys fuck with that at all? Or do you think those guys are kooky?
No, not at all. I mean, if anything, I believe that before I see ghosts, because I mean, the fact that we're alone in the universe would be pretty crazy. It's a pretty big place.
I was going to quote Contact too, but you beat me to it.
but yeah, I mean, we haven't been anywhere that's been notorious for it. I know that that's kind of more of a Mothman, Eastern or Western kind of place. In the Midwest, haven't really heard any major stories of UFOs going on. That's more of a Nevada kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I would not be afraid of going to investigate it at all. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, look, like that would be a thing, right? You know, Independence Day, we finally are a united planet against the invaders that come. Yeah, because that's just crazy, man. Like that kind of just flew under the radar, that news. You know.
Yeah.
It was like all the COVID stuff, the you know, right versus left, like Trump versus Democrats thing, just took over the space. That just flew under the radar.
It's like,
no one talks about it. Nobody. That's it.
Yeah, it's like, you know, there's a lot going on. Let's just slip a little, you know, just some things to get out of our bag.
Yeah.
It's like we have to talk about it, so let's just choose right now.
And it's like, you know, there's this guy on Joe Rogan's, Bob Lazar, although I don't know if I'm 100% sold on that one, but then there was like some aircraft pilot in the military that was tailing the actual thing. And he was like, he did not look like a dude that was, you know, fucking around really. And I was like, damn, even he said this, like, I've never seen anything like that. And, you know, so I don't know, man, you know, like, you're right, though. If the paranormal investigator believes that that's more likely, then I feel the same way, dude. That shit is crazy. You know what? Like, let's go back to horror for a little bit. JP, do you fuck with like horror from another country, like foreign cinema at all? Like, is there anything that you have that's a favorite?
So my horror movie dealer is James. So he's the one who introduces me to a lot of
Yeah.
horror. Unfortunately, in my experience with movies, horror is kind of something that I've been meaning to get more and more into. And like we'd be talking about horror movies, and like The Thing comes up a lot, or the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers. That was like my jam when I was a kid. But definitely as I got older, and especially once Trilogy of Terror scared me away, I started venturing into different genres, and been reluctant to come back. But James, being the great friend he's been for like half my life at this point, he introduced me to Wreck.
Oh, that's a great movie.
I love Wreck.
Great movie. I think the foreign language actually kind of adds to it,
Oh,
like,
definitely.
because they're like, oh man, I remember Wreck 2 just freaked me out, man. That's the SWAT team going in. They're like, Martos, cállate, cállate. Like, I'm like, oh shit, yo, fuck. Yo, Joe, run away, Martos. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, man, that movie was crazy. How about you, James? What'd you think of the Dark? The Dark, by the way. Like, I know you saw it. Like, started off strong, huh?
Yeah, it did start off strong for sure. But then it's just like things started happening, and I was like, they're just gonna go on this like rampage for the rest of the movie. Like, what's the end point? And then all of a sudden it just kind of ended, and I was shocked at that ending. I'm like, whoa, I thought this was gonna be this epic revenge tale.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
You know what? Like, the blind kid like really annoyed me. And I was like, she was this badass, like ghoulish vampire type creature that I was so invested in. And then all of a sudden,
so my thought of where I was going to think of going with that is the blind kid was going to call whoever he calls, and he'd be like, oh crap, this guy who's trafficking whatever shows up with this other crew to come get this kid to continue doing whatever he's doing. And then she just comes out of the woodwork, and it's like, this is what a ghoul can do when he's on your side.
Yeah.
And that would have been cool.
That's what I thought, that she was going to be his protector, and they were going to go through a bunch of really dark individuals that were trying to get at them or whatever. And then once I saw her get hurt, right, I was like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
Like, they doing this thing to me.
That made no sense. I mean, they didn't even explain it.
Yeah, exactly. That, at least they, like, she was formed from all this hatred or whatever it was, right? And then she finds this, soul that's like hers, and she's becoming human again because she's feeling emotions. Like, I can get that spin on it, but to just not talk about it, like, you almost had like a good thing, almost.
I completely agree. I'm really glad I watched May the Devil Take You right after that.
What's that?
May the Devil Take You is Indonesian horror.
Okay.
You need to see that. So put that on your list.
Where did you watch it? It's
made by the same. Do you remember VHS 2?
Yes.
I've seen same director.
I might have seen it. May the Devil Take You. Have you seen The Art of the Devil?
Started it. I got caught up in something. I had to put it down.
It's fucked up. Yeah, it's like a fucked up movie. The second one, I think, is probably my favorite one.
I really like May the Devil Take You because it really reminded me of Evil Dead, and I love Evil Dead.
Evil Dead. What do you guys think of the new one?
Beautiful movie.
Yeah, beautiful movie. Completely different from the original.
It's like what they wanted the original to look like.
Yeah, it wasn't funny at all. The original was kind of. No. I mean, the second one was funny, right? Yeah. So
the original wasn't meant to be funny, but it was so low budget that it almost was. But it was kind of that
like in a campy feel.
Yeah, like
campy feel on that one.
Like Gumby Skeleton.
The evolution of those movies is great. Like, you have the original horror, like even Evil Dead. There's like jump scares in there that still work today. And you get like that weird hybrid movie where it's like a reboot of Evil Dead 1. That's Evil Dead 2 with some comedic effect, and then out of nowhere, here comes Army of Darkness. Man. Bruce Campbell, right? That's his name? Yeah.
Yeah, I loved him in a lot of stuff. I watched Burn Notice because he was in it.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
He was great in that. What do you guys think of the movie Cabin in the Woods?
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
You know what's
my one
go
question
ahead.
for that movie is, why the hell would you have a perch button?
Yeah.
What purpose does that serve?
Yeah.
Act
I
3.
love that movie. I felt like that movie was made for horror fans, you know? And
Mhm.
it's weird because when I recommended it to another buddy of mine who's a horror fan too, and he watched it, because as soon as I got at the theater, I was like pumped with adrenaline of like all this
Yeah.
hype. I was like, wow, this is a movie that was made for me. I enjoyed so much of it. They took elements from everything,
Yeah.
Japanese. I was like, this is great, right? So I hit him up, and then after he finished watching it, like the next day, he was like pointing at all the plot holes. I was like, I didn't even look. I didn't even want to get into that because I felt the movie was just trying to have me enjoy it. You know,
Mhm.
he was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
why
that
was
never,
why was that?" I forgot what he said. So, how come the guard station like had the button to? Is it
yeah,
like that part? Like
the
he
perch
was
button.
yeah,
The flip-
and then he was just like, "Why was that there?" And I'm like, all right. I mean, you know, I definitely saw that, but like I was just vibing with the movie so much because of all the stuff that's in it. You know what
and
I'm saying?
especially all at the same time. Too.
Yeah.
Like, after, like, the
Yeah.
perch button didn't make sense. I get that. It was
Mhm.
like the only weird part of the movie, but just seeing like all those creatures simultaneously,
Dude.
like it's
Yeah.
like watching every horror movie at once.
Yeah.
Just appear. It's great.
It was so awesome and I loved it so much. You didn't watch The Grudge versus The Ring, right?
No, but I bought it. It's
Yeah.
on the way. I actually
You're
found a
gonna
copy.
laugh so hard, but
I
like
can't wait.
again, it's awesome to see I don't know what the Grudge girl's name is, but Sadako and then the other girl, you know, like
Kayako.
kayak. Oh yes, there you
I
go.
wrote
Like,
that. Yeah.
bro, they square off. I watched the trailer and I googled it and I was like, oh shit, it's on Shutter. So I just like watched it that day and I was like, this is
Oh, nice.
ridiculous, man. Like this is ridiculous. Like, but I loved it, man. I loved it. So you know, for Halloween, are you guys doing anything? I know there's like you have kiddos, so you have
Yeah.
anything
So
going on at home or like are you gonna go out? Like what's up with it?
yeah. So actually, scary movies and Halloween is like my wife's thing, and
Oh
we
shit.
decided we're doing a theme this year, so we're going a little not horror ways, but we're doing my youngest is going to be Peter Pan. My oldest, who's 11, is going to be Captain Hook. My wife's going to be Wendy, and I'm going to be Peter Pan's Shadow.
Cool.
So there'll be
Better
some
be
nice
careful,
photos up
yo.
on the
That's
gram.
close to blackface. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, whoa.
No, like, but yeah, like, that's awesome, man. I don't know what we're doing here. Do you guys watch horror at all, JP? Like after that?
My wife's been trying to get us into it. My 11-year-old's at that point where he doesn't want to watch something that's going to stick with him for the rest of his life. But we're trying to sneak things in, and
Yeah.
he's like, old movies aren't scary, so we've been trying to pump him full of old movies. And My Vote was the thing. And like
Trilogy
he
of
saw the
Terror.
trailer, yeah, and he's like, "Oh, I'm done. I'm done." My wife's actually texting me right now. She's like, "I've been trying to get you to watch horror movies. You should listen to me."
It's fun. I mean, you know what? Like that feeling where it's like I don't know what's gonna happen. I like that feeling, man. My girl like hates horror, bro. I was telling James this in the other podcast. She's graduated with a degree in acting. She loves musicals. You know that Jazz Hands is frightening to me, right? So, pretty much the only movies that I get to check out with her is like zombie stuff, creature features, which is good, okay,
Yeah.
but no paranormal spooky stuff, bro. Like I
Really?
was trying to get her to watch the movie Lake Mungo, and James, I know
Yeah.
you've seen that, and that's a great movie. It's not all the way scary, but that shit could stick with you a little bit, and I think it would fuck my girl up. Like it'd
Oh
make
man,
her think
especially
through.
during the review at the end.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's crazy,
Yeah.
but like she won't check it out, man. So yeah, what about you, James? You have anything going on for Halloween? You planning
So I
on
have
it?
a 3-year-old daughter, and then I live with my parents.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do is my sister's coming over, and in each room of the house, my little one's going to be able to knock on the door and trick or treat to each door of the house.
That's cute, dude.
She'll get the full experience going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll probably just watch, a bunch of scary movies. We always watch the cartoons that, on Halloween. So you got your Charlie Brown, the Dr. Seuss Grinch Night, Garfield, that kind of stuff. Headless Horseman from Disney.
Yeah. What do you guys think of Yeah, go ahead. JP.
I was going to say, so with us throwing up suggestions, so I guess you can go to different parts of your house, you can trick or treat, and then what Disney movie are you going to theme out to?
Mm-hmm. You mean like here at my crib?
Yeah, right.
Dude, my girl loves Disney, man. She was saying like, for Comic-Con, because if Comic-Con was going to happen before the COVID stuff, because last year I got to decide what we were going to be. Right. So I decided on being the Red Hood. And there was my girl was so pissed because the character, she's like, who should I be? I should be from the same universe. Right. There's a very like small character called Essence in the comics. Nobody knew who the fuck she was. But like she looked sick too. She had like scars and like a wig, like leather out. Like it was so sick. And then a lot of people were like going up to her like, are you the Khaleesi? She was so mad. So this year she would have gotten to choose, and she was like, I'm gonna fucking dress you up like Rufio, and I'm gonna be Captain Hook. Because I'm Filipino and shit. Like, Rufio. I would have done it though. I would have done it, not gonna lie. But my girl loves Disney, man. On like her thing is Christmas. She was like, yo, I was about to put up decorations right now. I'm like, it's October. Put up like a zombie hand or something, like we don't have Halloween decorations. But she's mad into Christmas, bro. She's mad into it. Like she makes me watch A Christmas Story, all this stuff. Like it's like a tradition with her. And in my household, it wasn't like that, Did you guys go trick-or-treating a lot when you were a kid? Because trick-or-treating in New York City in the 80s was fucking crazy, bro. It was crazy. Like you getting eggs thrown at you. You're trying to like not get hit. It was wild. It was so wild. A lot of eggs.
I think it's a different time, right?
You just expect to get hit by eggs. Like, the delis, the bodegas, the supermarkets were out of eggs. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, out of eggs.
Being in the suburbs.
Yep.
Yeah. Being in the suburbs, the big thing for us was the how late you could stay up. I mean, I remember trick or treating well past midnight when there's no reason that we should have been out, but it was like pitch black. There's no cars. Like you're still going to people's houses. They're still giving you candy. So you got to
that porch light's on. I'm stopping here.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And you get so much candy back then, man. I felt like people were more giving then because stuff was cheaper. You get like a whole like I used to carry like one of those plastic jack-o'-lanterns that you could put the candy in. That shit was like not enough. Like shopping bag with me, and it would be full, and you'd get money. And then I'm like, oh shit, this is the best.
And those stupid vampire teeth you can't eat.
Oh man, which candy was like the best, like that you liked?
For me, it was cookies and creams.
Like what kind of bar was that? It's just like
that was a Hershey's bar, but it was like white chocolate with chocolate chips in it.
Yep, I remember
that was my jam.
Dude, so I don't know. I'm almost 40, so maybe I'm older than you guys. I'm not sure if I am.
No, we're all about the same age.
Yeah. So like when I was going, they were still giving like Bazooka Joes and like right, and then you would get like Snickers, Twix. Like they didn't even have the minis back then. You get the bar, bro.
Yeah.
It was sick.
Fun time wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah.
You get that one house that throws you like a toothbrush or gives you some floss.
Some people gave money, dude. That was the crazy thing.
I remember money.
What was crazy is so in New York City, right? You could go to the really tall like apartment buildings where there's like 50 families that live in there, and I would just rake in the fucking candy, like knock on, go inside, like wait for someone to go in, right? Because I don't have the key, right? You have to be buzzed in or whatever, and then once they go in, I go in with them, and I just hit up all the apartments and just get like candy from each one. And I would just go home with so much candy. I have candy for like a month, yo. I had like cavities back then. Is there anything that you guys want to close out with? Anything that I hear kiddos in the back already. Anything that you want to close out with?
Yeah.
Is that
Hey, bud.
is that an entity?
Yeah, it sounds like it, right?
What's going
He is making the greatest face.
on? Does he want your attention? He or she?
He just woke up and he's gonna be up all night, but he's trying to get my attention. He knows how.
It's like Dad's almost done. Anything
Yeah.
that you want to close out with, guys? We've done like pretty much an hour now, and I hope you guys had a good time. Thank you for doing this, man.
It's amazing.
If you guys have any questions on like doing the social media stuff, podcasting stuff, like I'll definitely help you out. You're welcome to be on here anytime. You guys are cool in my book, man. You know, so any place that people can follow you? I know it's Crims0nfury on Instagram with a 0 in place of the O. JP, anything that you want to plug?
No, actually, we do have our Facebook that we revamped for our paranormal group.
Yep.
James, do you know what we currently have that titled as?
It's just 1031 Paranormal Initiative. The initiative, like from Buffy.
Oh, cool! I like the name already. Like if I get invited, I would join it. You know what I mean? Yo, thank you so much.
We gotta get to New York.
Yo, dude, if you're ever here, man, let me know. You know, we'll find a spot to go and chill, grab a drink or something like that, and we'll talk about stuff. If you have any spooky things that you're gonna check out that is like near me, you know, let me know. Yo, I'm in. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, we got enough here to cover you. We have a little orientation packet that we hand out. And
I'm in, bro. I'm so in. I'm so in. You know,
we'll give you a certificate at the end of it.
Oh shit. Oh man, so I have survived the paranormal gauntlet with JP and James. Thank you guys for being on. This is your boy in the NYC. It's me, Ray, and this is the EDCCP saying peace. Yo, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so we can squad up in the comments.